And all of a sudden, we got rumors popping up about Shedeur Sanders and Garrett Wilson and a trade. What is going on?
Like, subscribe and hit that bell. The NFL rumor mill just blew up with something wild involving Shedeur Sanders and the New York Jets. We're talking about a possible trade that could shake two struggling teams. Both the Browns and Jets are having rough seasons, but this move might actually make things worse for one of them. Honestly, the timing feels super suspicious. Would you trade Shedeur straight up for Garrett Wilson? Or does Cleveland also need to add some draft picks?
It's a wild rumor. It really is. But it is floating around the idea of trading Shedeur Sanders for Garrett Wilson. I can tell you right now, the Jets ain't going to do that straight up. They're not going to do that straight up.
Let's start by looking at where these two teams stand right now. The Cleveland Browns have one big strength, their defense. We're talking about a real championship-level defense. Jim Schwartz has that unit playing at an incredible level. Honestly, if you needed a defensive coordinator, he'd be your top pick. But that's where the good news ends for Cleveland. Then you've got the New York Jets, who might actually be doing even worse than the Browns, which says a lot. Woody Johnson just benched Justin Fields. And let's be real, Fields has been terrible. Tyrod Taylor didn't look much better when he got his chance either. The Jets have real talent with players like Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, but they can't seem to figure anything out.
But I have to say, like, he's a guy. It's not just an Ohio State thing. I've obviously paid more attention to him because of the Ohio State ties. He's 25 years old. Yeah, I trust a lot more that Garrett Wilson's going to be good in this league over the next 5 years, 3 years than Shedeur Sanders. So yeah, I'm throwing a pick. I'm throwing Shedeur Sanders.
You would throw Shedeur in there.
Yeah,
as of right now,
if that's what it took to get him,
can't do it.
That's how much I believe in Garrett Wilson.
Can't do it.
Next voice now, out of nowhere, rumors are flying about a possible trade between Shedeur Sanders and Garrett Wilson. Yeah, you heard that right. The Browns might trade their backup quarterback to get a true number one receiver. Here's the truth about Cleveland's receiver room. Jerry Jeudy isn't a real number one. He's a good number two, maybe an excellent number three, but he's trying to play a role that doesn't fit him. Garrett Wilson, though, is the real deal. A true top receiver. But the trade isn't simple. The Jets aren't swapping Garrett for Shedeur straight up. No way. You don't trade a star wideout for a backup QB without more value. Cleveland would probably have to include a third or fourth round pick at least. Maybe Shedeur and a fifth could make it work if the Jets really want to move on from Wilson. The talk around this deal has grown big enough that media shows are debating it. One host even said they'd trade Shedeur without hesitation if it meant getting Garrett Wilson. That's how good Wilson is, and how unsure people are about what Shedeur really is as an NFL quarterback.
Yes, I would trade Shedeur Sanders if it meant getting Garrett Wilson, because I think that's how good I think Garrett Wilson is and how just up in the air I am right now on Shedeur Sanders. What about?
No doubt about it. I wouldn't think twice about it. Now, if you wanted to keep Shedeur, a guy that I would look at is a guy I like. He's the number one in Vegas, and he was the number one with the Patriots. A guy that, in my opinion, is really just an excellent number two, but he can certainly play like a number one, is Jakobi Meyers.
If Cleveland wanted to keep Shedeur and still get a receiver upgrade, there's another choice, Jakobi Meyers from the Raiders. He was the top guy in New England before moving to Vegas. He's really a strong number two who can act like a number one when needed. His deal isn't as costly as Wilson's, and while he's older, he still has good years left. Meyers has been solid in Vegas, even though the team has been a mess. But here's where things get messy for Cleveland. Reporter Mary Kay Cabot said the Browns aren't treating Shedeur unfairly. They're developing him at their own pace. The staff love what they see in practice. So why trade him before knowing? What they have? Stefanski has been working closely with Shedeur, spending early mornings and extra hours together. They've been building him up, so they should have an idea of his potential. But then insider Albert Breer dropped a bomb. He thinks Cleveland could trade Shedeur before the deadline. That brings up Deshaun Watson. Watson should be cleared to play after the bye week. The Browns then have 3 weeks to activate him, or sooner. Suddenly, trading Shedeur doesn't sound crazy if Watson is back. Bailey Zapp could fill in as emergency QB until then. But imagine if they trade Shedeur and he becomes a legit starter elsewhere. Maybe top 15 in the league. That would mean Cleveland gave up on 2 quarterbacks in 5 years who became stars. Baker Mayfield, now an MVP candidate, and maybe Shedeur next. All because of Watson, the same Watson who hasn't looked like his old self from Houston, yet is making huge money and still struggling. Josh Cribbs made a great point. The Browns should move away from Dylan Gabriel and let Shedeur play, not because Gabriel's awful, but because he's not pushing the offense. But here's the most Cleveland thing ever. They might trade Shedeur, bring back Watson, and give him those last 4 games instead of Shedeur. They'd check one more time to see if Watson can still play, even after 2 failures. Reports said Shedeur would get those games, but that could change fast. The team might want to be 100% sure Watson is finished before moving on from that massive contract. And now, top insiders are saying a Shedeur trade is real. Albert Breer being involved means it's serious. When national voices report it, there's usually truth behind the talk. The real question: who's calling about Shedeur? And what's the price? If the Browns can get Garrett Wilson for Shedeur and a mid-round pick, that helps right now. The defense is elite, and adding a true WR1 makes the team dangerous. But they could also lose a young QB with real promise, all because of Deshaun Watson, who's done nothing in Cleveland but disappoint. This mess leaves the Browns stuck between winning now and planning for later. The Jets are desperate at QB, and Shedeur is caught in the middle of it all, working hard while everyone debates if he's a trade piece or the future. That's the latest on Shedeur and this wild Garrett Wilson rumor. The next few weeks will be insane, and I'll cover every update. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you make this trade?